This is the Fatty Joe Show, coming to you from Casa de Carrie, deep in the forests of Nutmeggerville. This show is dedicated to exploring pathways to better health from a holistic perspective. In each episode, we will explore such topics as nutrition, mental and emotional health, fitness, and more. I'm Yogi, your host, and I became interested in studying health after conventional health dogma became damaging and led me to become massively overweight. Against modern convention, I went on a keto lifestyle and I lost over 300 pounds and gained a level of control on my personal health that I never had before. Now I'm on a journey to find out what is myth and what is truth in the ever convoluted world of what is considered healthy. Come join me on a journey of discovery as I look for a path to improve total health. If you'd like to support the show, head over to patreon.com/thefattyjoeshow or patreon.com/carriebrown. If you want to check out all of our social media links and recipes, head to carriebrown.com. Don't forget to leave a comment, like, and subscribe to the show.
Yeah, well, right now time is definitely at a special premium with the study. The lean mass hyperresponder study is my life, definitely right now, and it's but in a good way. You know, we're getting real close now.
Well,
So,
one thing I'm hoping to impart on people by having guys like you and Ivor and other people that have this engineering mind is to, when they look at a problem, to look at the entire structure, how everything works together. Because that's I think that's why guys like you are engineers are the ones that are leading this charge into the new dietary, to people that think like and that's guys like Gary Taubes and Nina Teichol's as well, but you, Siobhan, you guys have a way of looking at things, and the fact that when an engineer looks at a problem, they give it a dogma. Like, they don't look at things like it should work because this is the way I assume it should work. They go, okay, this didn't work. Let's go back to the beginning and rebuild this till it gets to work. And that's one thing I'd like to see more in our society, not just with health, but like all of our problems.
I honestly feel like it's a bit of a cultural thing, though. Engineers, we're kind of not known for our good bedside manner. I'm sort of an outlier in this perspective, but basically, you could get a room full of junior engineers, and you could have Bill Gates walk in. And Bill Gates could say something that's completely ridiculous that a junior engineer would spot as a problem. And they'll all want to comment. They'll all be just dying to tell Bill Gates how he's wrong. And that is actually, I find that that's something I got used to being in that space that doesn't exist in medicine and research like I thought it would. Like I always thought that was just kind of the scientific mindset, is you actively check each other. You're constantly trying to spot problems in each other in a good way. It's not just about trying to tear down somebody else's ego. It's about feeling like you're all a part of the same puzzle solving process. And because of that, it forces you to be almost schizophrenic. Almost as fast as you have an idea, you have a countervailing part of you that's going, but is it really? Like, if I were trying to argue against what you just told me, what would I come up with? And I think you have to live that way as a scientist. I think it's crucial to live that way as a scientist, not as an individual, but also as a community.
Yeah. And I would agree, because I was very dogmatic about what I did before. And that dogma led to some brain issues and me weighing 618 pounds. So,
make it props, by the way. Look, I cannot, I have to tell you, I don't often get to talk to success stories like yours. There's something to be said for reaching a place like you did, because I've talked to people who've been extraordinarily morbidly obese, and the journey and coming back, and a lot of people don't realize a lot of it's mental, is that
Yeah.
it's not just solving for the physical side. It's that you have to really attack it from multiple directions, and it's perseverance. And sometimes I feel frustrated because I feel as though we're too anxious to showcase the, tied in a ribbon bow success story. Where it's
Mhm.
like, oh, so and so went on, the ketogenic diet, and in 1 month they have a bikini body, and here's all their Instagram photos of it and so forth. And I get frustrated because I feel that there should be more time spent on the people who struggle, who have tried other means to solve this problem that they've, dealt with for a long period of time, and then ultimately found the success. And maybe they're not, you know, perfectly ready to showcase to the world everything, but they can say, look how much this helped me turn my life around,
Yeah.
even if I still got, further to go in my journey. Because I feel like we're all there. All of us are. Even the person who's posting the Instagram model pictures, they often find out later. They often are still struggling with some things they just didn't want to say anything about. And so, again, I think a lot of this comes back to the science part. It's in being honest, feeling as though all the data is on the table. And in that regard, like I can't state it enough. For somebody who's gone to where you were and has found your way back, props to you. I mean, that's quite a journey.
Yeah, thanks, man. I've actually done it twice now because I weighed over 500 pounds when I graduated high school, and I living in the Philippines for a couple of years made me drop a lot of weight just because of the environments that I was in. But then being injured and being on the truck, and when I got back to the States, man, it got really hard to keep the weight off, and I started gaining weight back. And then when I got injured from the car accident, but I honestly didn't believe keto was going to make me lose weight. I did it for brain health, and I was experiencing symptoms of CTE that are associated. You can't get diagnosed unless you're autopsied. And I wasn't there yet, but I was having a lot of brain issues and emotional issues, and I started keto, and I was doing a very high fat keto, and then all of a sudden my pants were falling off, and my drive was very much results driven. As I was seeing results of pain dissipating, my brain functioning better, I had a my my head literally felt like I was when I used to scuba dive and I'd be at pressure at atmosphere, and I'd have that pressure around my head, that my head felt like that while I was just driving the truck. And I was
Wow.
having I was having all these issues, man. And then the pain in my joints and everything like that from pro wrestling and football and working security and everything else that I was getting a lot of impact on my body with. It was just like I felt like an 80-year-old man climbing out of my bunk in the morning trying to get ready to go to work, to drive the truck. My knees were cracking, everything was popping and carrying on, and there was so much pain when I woke up in the morning that the first thing that got me to stay on keto was that pain started to dissipate. Then I felt the brain issues start to improve, and then the weight hit, and I was like, holy crap, this is like, everything, the things that I didn't believe would happen happened, and I'm just like, okay, I'm sold. So
Yeah.
I'm just,
Wow. It's funny. I had heard some of this secondhand while I was in a chat and asking because somebody had already heard your story and they were kind of relating some of these details. And again, that's part of why I'm as impressed as I am. But it's also fascinating because I started this diet also not specifically to lose weight, but to reduce my chance of getting type 2 diabetes
mhm.
because it's rampant on my dad's side of the family. And I didn't actually think of myself as overweight before. I had like a BMI of 25, maybe 26, I don't know. But as usual, I was doing comparisons of myself to my, high school class. Oh, well, we've all put on weight. That just happens. Just
Mhm.
happens naturally. And I find it fascinating how many people I've met since this has occurred who would speak of gaining weight as being something that they couldn't understand why it was happening. They've been trying to hit the gym a lot. They've been trying to eat better, etc. But they kept feeling as if there just was more steps they needed to take that they just couldn't do any more of, and they were just at their wits' end about it. Who had gone low carb? Or like, what the heck? This was not a big, gigantic, gargantuan effort that I needed to make. I just need to get better about what I picked out when I was shopping, and then what not to eat.
Mm.
And really, a lot of things just started to fall in line. And again, I don't want to make it sound like it's this perfect success story. There's still often lots of things left in the journey. But the point is that the first part, the seemingly the hardest part that just seemed to come with age, started to change so rapidly. And that's what I'm so fascinated, because for me, it was kind of like a red pill moment myself. I did have times where I was like, I should see if I could lose at least 5 or 10 pounds, because I'd like to be closer to where I was in college. But I know that means I'm probably gonna need to hit the gym at least 5 days a week, probably. And on top of not having as much Taco Bell, instead having more Subway, right?
Right.
If I just get more whole wheat instead of this white bread, then that'll make all the difference. And so I'd have stints of doing that. And then I'd get to this point where I'd be like, whatever, I can't really budge that thing hardly at all.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I not even trying to lose weight. I go on a low carb diet, and it's like, boom, I'm now to my college weight. I'm to my college weight without trying.
Yeah. That's the same with me, man. Like I actually started focusing on losing weight recently. And I put an effort in on it. And so now, because I kind of plateaued around 360 or so for a while, and between coming off the truck, getting better sleep, and getting away from a lot of toxic exposure that I was getting on the truck, and I'm sure there's a number of factors outside of diet that also keyed in. But now I got on the scale and I hit 278. And I'm like, I haven't seen that number since I was like a sophomore in high school. Like, this is
Wow.
insane, And but
Props.
lately, I've been able to incorporate more fasting and things like that into it. So I'm like, I couldn't do that on the truck because the stress on the truck, the bad sleep patterns and stuff. I couldn't comfortably fast. And now I've been experimenting more with the cycles of fasting and how it would be more comfortable for me to get into a fasting state. And I found that for me, transitioning into a liquid diet and then transitioning into the fast and then transitioning out of the fast into a liquid diet and then back to real food works better for me digestively, and also to help fight the cravings and the mental side of the fasting as well. And so that's something that I found that works for me. So I've been using a lot of keto chow when I go into the fast, and I'll spend like a week or two sometimes where all I eat is keto chow, and sometimes mixed with bone broth and things like that. But I've been finding that the keto chow hasn't been giving me enough protein to feel okay. So I've been
Mhm.
upping the protein by adding like egg white powder or even whole raw eggs and things like that into the mixture. And then the other thing I've been adding every once in a while too, especially transitioning out of the diet, is spirulina and chlorella, because I've been noticing, and then also charcoal at different points, because I've been noticing that when I drop a lot of weight, my skin, everything breaks out. And I'm like, dude, I must have a lot of stored toxins in those fat cells, because like literally everything I get zits, I get like almost uh the flaky skin, dandruff, type thing. I all this stuff starts happening, and then I don't feel so well for a while, and I basically do like a minor detox to try and get everything. Or I drink a lot of water. I try to get everything set up, take in a lot of magnesium, and then my skin starts to settle down and my weight finds a better homeostasis where I've dropped. And then I stay that homeostasis for a while, let my body get used to it, and then I try to fast again.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
that's what I've been doing.
I have been curious about that. I've certainly learned a lot about how lipids are stored in adipocytes being the cells for your fat. And there really is it's a fairly immature science, because part of what convolutes it is that it's not as though lipids go into your fat cells and then they get just perfectly mixed together so that what comes out will be a blend of what was in. It's actually more of the first one out is the last one in kind of thing. And because of that, it makes sense that you could, in theory, to some degree, you could have a lot of the healthier stuff that's associated with the better diet that you had at first. And then once you're really fasting and you're really pulling out of those lipid droplets that are in those fat cells, that you're starting to actually dig into what was, further in the back room, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And while this is a bit of a simplification, for sure, I think that, like, for example, in my younger days, I had lots and lots and lots of fast food. And so I myself am curious of the composition of those lipid droplets as I'm losing weight, how much of that really does change the composition of the fatty acids getting released into my bloodstream. How much does that have an impact on my health? And I don't have a good answer for that yet. But do I think that that can be a big factor? I think so. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about me because of poor diet in the past and also dirty supplements for years, playing sports and stuff, getting the stuff at not like steroids or anything like, well, with GNC, you never know. But, like taking the supplements, trying to build mass and things like that, especially when I was a power lifter, a lot of these things, as I found out later, were not the cleanest. Than the fast food, the manufactured foods, and all the other junk food that I ate growing up. I imagine there's a lot of crap in there. So we're going off the rails, like not off the rails, but we're like doing the podcast without me doing the podcast. So let me get into the intro and we'll get going, man. All right.
Hey, thank you for joining us on the Fatty Joe Show. Be sure to leave a comment and subscribe. It helps the show reach more people. To support the show, as well as Carrie Brown and Yogi's work on the blog, keto recipe development, masterclasses, and to gain access to private Facebook groups and other awards, go to patreon.com/thefattyjoeshow or patreon.com/Carrie Brown. Also, check out our Carrie Brown and Yogi Parker YouTube channel for video versions of The Fatty Joe Show, recipe videos, and more. Join our awesome community on the Facebook group, The Keto Kitchen with Carrie Brown and Yogi Parker, and check out our carriebrown.com website for recipes, blog posts, discounts, cookbooks, masterclasses, and other great stuff. Thank you so much.